Hi, for ExecuNet, I'm Tony Vlahos, and I'm joined today by Barb Bruno. Barb is a world-renowned speaker, an author, and consultant with decades of experience in staffing and recruiting. She's trained over 2 million professionals through her live sessions and LinkedIn Learning courses, and she's one of the clearest voices today, among other things, on how AI is reshaping the hiring process. In this conversation, we're focusing on how executives can use AI strategically in their job search and where to draw the line. Barb, thanks for being here.
I'm pleased that I'm here. I love to share. I love to talk about this topic.
And always a joy to speak with you. So you've said, Barb, that AI shouldn't be the captain, it should be the co-pilot. What does that look like for executives in career transition?
I think that people are getting too dependent on AI when they're conducting their job search. They feel that AI is the end all be all. AI conduct the search for them. And how I view AI is that I've got this person sitting next to me that's an assistant, and I can give that assistant, that co-pilot, everything that is not best use of my time. It can provide me with data, it can provide me with patterns, it can save me a lot of time, but you're the one that has to drive your job search. You can't depend on AI to do everything. And, it can give you information, but making decisions, you've got to do that based on your judgment, your values, your long-term goals. And I guess it comes down to AI can tell you what's out there, but only you can decide what's right for you. And again, it's a capable researcher. It's not a decision maker. It can do all those busy things that you don't want to do. So you focus on the high impact activities like building relationships or, crafting your value proposition. And so it just helps you work smarter. It doesn't do your job search for you. And too many people are trying to do that.
So let's drill down a bit on that, Barb. Where do you specifically see most executives misusing AI in their search, and what might it be costing them?
It's costing them their credibility because someone who's been involved in recruiting for decades at this point, I can tell when a LinkedIn profile has been written by AI. I can tell when a cover letter has been written by AI or a resume. And that is the biggest mistake people are making. They take an old resume, they give it a little bit of information, and then they send out these resumes and they're generic, they're not customized, they're not keyword rich. And again, AI AI is only as good as the information you give it. So you'll lose credibility if you're using AI to do your professional documentation. That is something you have to do. And I can pick a LinkedIn profile a mile away that's been generated by AI because they're all alike. You have to think about that. When someone goes to your LinkedIn profile, you want to differentiate yourself. And if everybody's going to AI and say, do a LinkedIn profile for me, the format's the same, everything's the same. And also, um, you got to fact check. I mean, AI is brilliant. AI saves me a ton of time. I use it every single day. But, you are going to damage your professional reputation and you're going to weaken the influence you have with decision makers if you're going to present them with documentation that's been AI driven that you didn't fact check, because AI is not always accurate. AI is as accurate as the information that it's being fed. And so you have to be very careful. And when you think about that, you could lose credibility and you could damage your professional reputation. Those are two very big consequences of becoming too dependent on AI.
Mhm. No, that's very well said. So let's think about the positives. So if you're a busy executive,
Hmm.
sometimes you're searching while you're in role, but even when you're between roles, you have a lot going on. You're often trying to get your bearings and
Hmm.
efficiently move forward in your search. My question is strategically, what are its best uses? How should AI best be used in your search?
Right. AI is a game changer. Whether you're actively looking for a job, you're thinking of changing professions, you just want to advance in your career. AI is a game changer because again, it's that assistant sitting next to you that can do all the research. It can do all the groundwork that used to take you days or weeks to do. So then you're focused on those high level, sharper strategic talking points that you want to create. But AI does all the groundwork, and interview preparation is where AI really excels. If you tell AI the kind of job that you're looking for and the position of the person that's going to be interviewing you and ask AI to generate general questions that will be asked. What are some general questions and what are specific questions? Not only will it generate the questions for you that are most commonly asked, then you give it your answers and it'll critique your answers, which is phenomenal because sometimes, at a very high level, you think you're answering questions and you're not. You're answering something totally different. So AI, when it comes to interviewing prep and research, I think that's where AI really excels.
Mhm.
And again, it limits your prep time, so that you can maximize the impact of this research that you're doing by, role playing through AI tools and that and getting the feedback. So I think that, the interviewing prep and the research and the data analysis and that's where it really excels. That's where it can help you the most.
Have you found many executives, Barb, using it thus far for networking or building strategic relationships? How might it be used for that?
Yeah, and this again is where it's being misused. See, what AI is great for is if you tell AI the kind of career advancement you want, and then you ask AI, okay, can you give me the type of people I should network with? Like, can you give me some targets I should network with? Can you analyze their background? Can you even give me conversation starters? Like if I want to reach out to somebody, it could be mutual interests, it could be industry trends. AI can help you prepare, okay? But the relationship building has to be human. Even people that date online, eventually they have to talk and meet. Trust and rapport comes from authentic two-way conversations, and that's not something an algorithm can replace. It can give you a lot of information. And I love, and I've used it this way, like if I'm targeting a company I want to do business with, I'll have it research a person for me and then say, can you give me any common denominators between my profile and this person's profile or any conversation starters? I mean, I do that with sales calls and I love it because I feel very prepared. So that it can do for you. But networking is a relationship building process. And I can tell you just from experience, and I'm doing more speaking in front of corporations now than anything. Like 70% of my speaking now is in front of, CEO conferences and manufacturing conferences and IT conferences and that. And it's interesting, I'm listening to these hiring authorities all the time, and what they keep saying to me is they can't stand a generic outreach on LinkedIn when they feel it's self-serving. Nobody cares about you when you're trying to advance in your career. All they care about is how can you benefit them. So when you're out there networking, you do your homework, you figure out who you're going to target, and then every correspondence, every reach out, every conversation that you have with anybody has to focus on how can you benefit them? How do they benefit by this discussion that you're having? Or if you're looking for a referral or you're looking for someone to make an introduction, how do they benefit by making that introduction? So, every time you're verbally written, you've always got to think about, okay, how am I positioning myself that I can benefit this person by them putting me on? Because guess what? Most companies have referral programs. They'll get paid if they refer you. If you're a great person and they refer you, it makes them look good. But these are the kinds of things you've got to let them know for them to put you on. But networking is a human process, not an algorithm.
Mhm. You've underscored the implications of relying on it and at times risking replacing it, replacing rather your reputation or your
Mhm.
emotional intelligence. Talk to me more about the risks there, specifically if, as all of us, we bear emotional intelligence, we've got thought leadership at a certain level. How could relying on AI too heavily jeopardize that?
When it comes to leadership and higher level roles at the executive level, you're not just hired for what you know. Sometimes middle management maybe, but you're really hired at upper levels for how you think and how you lead. Your thought leadership is your differentiator, and it shows your ability to shape strategies and influence stakeholders and see around the corners. And AI can't have that type of vision for you. And so I think it's really important for you to realize you're not just hired for what you know. You're hired for how you think. And when it comes to emotional intelligence, that's also non-negotiable. Teams want leaders who can navigate conflict, who can inspire trust, and who adapt under pressure. AI can crunch data, that's what it does, but it can't read a room. It can't show empathy. It can't earn loyalty. And when you're at a higher level, it's the whole package that everyone looks at. And again, if you're too dependent, emotional intelligence and your leadership, those are two major differentiators. And you've got this track record, and AI can't think the way you think. Even if you've used it often and you think it's got your tone, it doesn't think the way you think. It doesn't have your vision. And so you've got to be very careful. Let it prep you for the interview, let it do the research, let it do the data. But when it comes to leadership and emotional intelligence, that's on you, not on
Mhm.
AI.
So, Barb, in closing, if you could relay one guiding principle to our audience about AI and its role, particularly in their search, what would that one guiding principle be?
I would treat AI as, again, as just a tool. They can do the busy work, you have to do the human work. Maybe that would be an easy way to, they do busy work, you do human work. And the higher you go in leadership, the higher the level of person you are, the more your value lies in judgment and influence in relationships, which require your direct engagement. So I think an easy way is just let AI do the busy work, and you do the human work. That's what I would leave people with. You can't automate your leadership. You can automate your research. You can't automate your leadership skills.
Barb, thank you as always for making time and sharing your insight.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thanks, Tony.